The other day, this was the homework that I gave you on Friday, and you had to write down whether these angles were right angles, whether they were acute, obtuse, reflex, or straight. And hopefully you got on okay. I am going to go through it now, and please mark and see how you did. Okay. So first of all, this here is a right angle triangle. Okay. This is going straight up and this is going straight across. Now, every right angle triangle that you'll see in your tests will have a little square like that in its corner. Okay, so this one doesn't, just because I used a different worksheet. But every right angle triangle you'll have will have a square in there. So that's a right angle. So I'll call that right. And then this one here, it's not a right angle, and it's not a reflex or a straight. It is either an acute or an obtuse. Now, acute means less than 90, and this is definitely less than 90, so that is acute. This here is more than 90, so it is obtuse. And this one here, this one is more than 180, so this one is called a reflex. And this one here is an upside down right angle, and again it should have a little square like that. So this is right angle triangle. This one here looks just like this one over here, but flipped over. So this one here is an acute. This one here is just a straight line. You probably were able to guess that. So it's just straight. And the angle of a straight line is 180. Bit of revision there because we're going to need it. Now this one here, this angle here, you can see is more than 180. So it must be a reflex. And this one here, they flipped upside down, but it's not more than 180. It's less than 180, but it is more than 90. So that means it must be obtuse. So that was the homework. Hopefully you sent me a picture on Friday, and so I'll have an idea of how you got on. I'm recording this on Friday, so what we'll do is we might have a live class on Wednesday, so that we can go through some of this together. I'll give you more information about that closer to the time. Now, you might be saying to yourself, sir, well, you might not, but if you ever said to yourself, sir, how would I, excuse me. Yeah, here we go. Sir, how would I measure an angle? Okay, well, have you ever seen this thing before? You probably have. If you've ever had one of those metal pencil cases, the math sets, you would have got one of these half circular rulers, and they are called protractors. Okay, and they're used to measure angles. So here we have an angle. Okay, we have this red line going down here and this red line here, and we have an angle here. I'm going to shade it in green. So if you came along and you wanted to find out, this is an acute, by the way, because it's less than 90, an acute angle. If you wanted to find out how many degrees this angle is, you would use a protractor. So the protractors are always see-through. Just like rulers, you can see through them, okay? Not all, but most. And you put the protractor down on top of the line, and you make sure that the very corner of the angle, the very pointy corner, goes into the crosshairs here, okay? There's a circle with two lines through it, and that's called the crosshairs. So you make sure the pointy bit goes right into the circle. And then there's a line running along the bottom of the protractor here. And you line that up with the bottom line of this here, this angle. Okay, so you line it up with the bottom line. And so once that is lined up with the bottom line, and you have your corner perfectly in the crosshairs, then you follow this line here up, and you can see it passes through the 50, okay? So it passes through the 50 here, and that's how we know that it is 50 degrees. So when we're back in school, we are going to all use protractors. I have a load of protractors, and we're going to practice drawing angles, and we're going to practice reading angles. And I just want to quickly show you how you would draw an angle. If I said to you that I wanted you to draw an angle and you were going to use a protractor to do it, what you would do is, the first thing you do is you draw a little dot, just like this one here, a little dot, and then you take a ruler, it can even be the bottom of the protractor, and you draw a line going straight out like this red line. Okay, that's the first thing you do, you draw the bottom line. Then you get your protractor and you put your protractor on top of the red line, and the circle at the end goes into the crosshairs. Okay, and you make sure the bottom line of the protractor is lining up, it's on top of the red line. All right, and then say I want you to make an angle that is 74, 75 degrees. Okay, so what I would do is I have the line lined up, and then I go up here and I look at 70, here's 70, and here's 80. So if I want to make an angle that's 74 or 75 degrees, I have to do it between 70 and 80. And if you look up here to this bit, this is 75, and you can see this is just beside 75. So what I do is I draw here, just where 74 is, I draw a little dot, just like this, okay? And once I've drawn the dot, I take away the protractor. I take away the protractor. Here's the dot that I just drew. So I take away the protractor and I draw a line from here up to here. And that gives us an angle of 74 degrees. Now I'm just doing this to show you. We will be doing this in person when we're back in the classroom. But I wanted you to have an idea of what the protractor was used and how to measure angles. So today we're just going to do a little bit of revision. I'm going to help you do the first two sums, and then for homework I'm going to get you to do the rest, okay? So here we have 6 sums, and in each of the sums you have to figure out what the letter is, what the angle of the letter is. So here we have A, B, C, D, E, F. So at the end your homework should be A equals, B equals, C equals, D equals, E equals, and F equals. You should be able to figure out what all of these angles are, because we learnt that a straight line, so from here to here, a straight line, the angle of a straight line is 180 degrees. Okay, so the angle of a straight line is 180 degrees. Now we can see that this part of the angle here, let me do it in a different color. This part of the angle here, this part here is 63 degrees. So A must be whatever is left over. So I take 180 and I take away 63. And I should get 117 degrees. Okay, it's 180 degrees minus 63 degrees. So that means that A must be 117 degrees, because if I added 117 and 63, if I added those two together, I would get 180. Okay? Now, I subtracted them because I didn't know what A was, but I knew that the whole line, the straight line, the whole angle is 180. You can see as I'm just pushing the mouse over the top. The green line here is 180. And if this much of the angle is taken up with 63, if I take that away from 180, that's how I found out what this angle was. All right, so here we do the same thing. We know, let me just go back to green, we know that the straight line, the angle of a straight line is 180 degrees. And here, this part of the angle here is 37 degrees. So B must be whatever is left over. So we have 180 degrees minus 37 degrees. And you can use a calculator for this if you want. That'll give us 143 degrees. Now, that means that this B is 140 degrees. And I can write this up here. A, we figured out, was 117 degrees. And here we figured out that B was 143 degrees. So C is very similar. I won't do it. And then these ones here, okay, this looks a little different, but have a look here. They've told us what this angle is, and they've told us what this angle here is. So if I add them together, if I add this and this together, whatever, when I take this away, if I add these two together and I take it away from 180, whatever is left over must be the angle of D. And same here. If I have 30 and I add 38, I take whatever those two add up to be, whatever they add up to be, they add up to be 68 anyway. If I take that away from 180, I'll find out what E is. And here they're just trying to trick you because they're showing you that this is a right angle triangle. And you learned that a right angle triangle is, well, if you don't remember, I'll get you to look it up. If you Google what angle is a right angle triangle. So for homework, for Wednesday, I'd like you to try and do these 4 sums, okay? And on Wednesday, we're going to have an online class. I'll send you more details about that beforehand, okay? So good luck with those. And if you have any questions, you can send me an email or you can contact me through Google Classroom. Okay, bye.